Good morning. My name is Hannah Groen. I'm here representing Justice 180 and Talitha Colm Coffee, but first I'd like to give you a better idea of who I am and where I came from. I was born and raised in a Christian home just south of Chicago, Illinois. From a young age, I always knew Jesus and had an incredible example of a relationship with Jesus from my mom. Between my parents, I learned how to love people well, both in generosity of finance, but also my time and energy. My heart has always been for people, which is kind of what led me into anti-trafficking. To be completely honest, I'm unaware of what always made me wonder, but as a child, white box trucks and any white vans with no windows had women and children in it. To this day, I have no solid answer of why, other than Jesus was preparing me for my future. One night when I was 6, I asked Jesus into my heart, but God really became evident, incredibly evident to me when I lost my dad in a tragic accident when I was 10. As many people in tragedy, especially around adolescents, tend to get into trouble, I did the opposite. I began volunteering at church and dreaming of becoming a missionary. I dreamed of having lots of money so I could spend it all on helping others. It was a far-fetched dream, so when people asked me, I would answer I was going to be a third-grade teacher instead. By my sophomore year of high school, nothing in me wanted to finish high school, but just to go into missions. By my senior year, I started looking into different missions organizations, and a family friend of mine suggested YWAM. Her daughter hadn't done it, but she had thought it was a great program. I agreed, but disagreed. My independence said I didn't want school, and I wanted to travel alone. So my compromise was that I was going to be a volunteer affiliated with YWAM Thailand by myself. So at 19, the first time traveling alone ever, I moved to Thailand for a year. Within the first 2 weeks, I met 2 YWAM DTS teams, also known as Discipleship Training School teams. They were on their outreach. They all encouraged me to do one, but I just wasn't convinced until God started shutting doors. Things got tricky with my visa to be in Thailand, so after 5 months of being there, I had to go back to Chicago until my DTS in Los Angeles began. I caved for DTS because I promised my mom I would not deal with anti-trafficking alone, but it was fully what I felt led to do. YWAM DTS was the one of 3 options that dealt with anti-trafficking here in the States. I read the vision of Justice 180, and it stuck. Fall of 2016, I did my DTS traveling to the red light district of Athens, Greece, and Paris, France for my outreach. It was some of the darkest things that I've ever experienced as I watched men in waiting rooms wait for sex or something sexual from this same girl. As we walked into the brothels of Greece, we were the light. It was truly one of the most life-giving experiences to love someone who was being abused. A year later, I had the opportunity to go back to Athens with the founders of Justice 180 to do ministry again in the red light district. My most vivid memory was when I walked into a brothel that I had never been with 3 other girls from my team. I walked in last, but I could hear the voice of the girl from the brothel. I wondered if I was crazy. She sounded confused, but familiar. I peeked my head through the small door frame for the girl to just stop talking completely as she saw my face. She said, "I know you. You were here a long time ago." And I said, "Yes. I came back from California because we love you and we care about you." The love that she felt when she realized that the same people traveled across the world to show them that they were not alone, that they mattered. Stories like these are the reason that I continue to do what I do. The simplest thing of showing my face with love of no expectation and looking for nothing in return to tell someone that we love them can change the trajectory of their lives. The woman and I began talking, her walls began coming down. They came down enough for me to tell her that I would pray that the next time that I came out, that she would be out of the brothels. 2 simple encounters may have just planted a seed. Unfortunately, I don't know if she's still in those brothels or not, but I do know that she will always remember that girl from California that flew across the world because she matters. I could tell you endless stories and encounters that I've experienced in the last 5 years, both overseas, but also in our backyard of Los Angeles. These girls that we build relationships tell me their stories, their dreams. Some will break you, and some will encourage you. After my DTS, I joined staff at YWAM Los Angeles and Justice 180 as God clearly led me to join the founder's vision, not only for the women and planting seeds, but actually to see the exploited to be reached, redeemed, and restored. As I worked part-time with both organizations over the last 2 years, I've transitioned most of my time towards growing and working on the ministry of Justice 180. Justice 180's vision focus for the last 7 years was solely in Los Angeles, was solely to build relationships on the streets. Many ask what it looks like to go on the streets for us. Well, a few of us get in a car at Saturday mornings, 3 a.m., and we go to a specific track. A track is a place known for selling women and girls. Upon the arrival at the track, we are all intentionally looking up and down the streets and at the street corners for girls. We train anyone in the car how to spot a working girl. When we see one, we pull over while 2 or 3 of us will get out. For safety reasons, the driver will always stay in the car with the car running. We give them gift bags, just a few things for them, specifically them. We don't give them things like condoms. We give things for them to treat themselves, like nail polish, nail files, sanitizer, Kleenex, a few pieces of candy, and a business card with a phone number to contact us. And we write personal notes that we've prayed over each bag. Small things can move mountains and break down the walls of these girls. With the consistency of our presence on these tracks, it helps us to create the relationships. Some of the girls recognize our car now and just get excited as we pull over. And others tell us when we get out how the other girls have told them about us. Either way, we have planted a seed with each encounter. We try our best to remember each girl and their story, so that when we see them again, we can ask them about their lives. There's one girl who will remain nameless for her safety, but our team knows her well, and anyone that has been on my team for the last 3 years knows her. But there's one specific night that I got out of the car with 2 girls that I was training. As we approached her, I was trying to gauge if it was going to be a quick encounter or a longer one. Typically, we ask just basic questions, but that's just as we build relationship, these girls just try to build enough trust with them so they'll have a conversation with us at all. But this particular evening, I felt a nudge to ask a deeper question, which tends to be harder for me because I just want to bring joy and laughter to the streets on the dark, cold nights. I started off asking her about life, basics, like we typically do. Then we saw a shooting star. We all stopped talking, and I had the opportunity to ask the deeper question. I asked her what her dreams were. If she could do anything in this world, what would she do? She ended up opening up and standing there for 20 minutes, just talking to me and telling me about her dreams, and her boyfriend dreaming of owning a car dealership or really just something with her name on it. This is a specific person that I heard her dreams, but she isn't the only one. For each of these women to have these dreams, some are as simple of being a mom. Some want to be makeup artists, some want to be business owners, and so many others. These are the kinds of stories that push us to continue growing Justice 180, the goals and the visions of who we are. Justice 180 wants to grow in so many ways. We've done local outreach here and connected with YWAM Los Angeles. We also do international outreaches to Rio, Brazil, Chiang Mai, Thailand, and Athens, Greece. We want to continue growing and building these relationships, but we want to be more than a seed. We want to be a place where God can use us to help these women transition out of their lives from the life, to teach them basic needs to live a purpose-filled life with God. This is the heart and the passion behind Talitha Coam Coffee Co. Talitha Coam Coffee, or TK Coffee, is more than just a place for restoration for women, but it's a hope for all who encounter Talitha Coam. Talitha Coam comes directly from Matthew 5:41, when Jesus raised a little girl from the dead. It literally translates from Aramaic to maiden arise. This is who we are and what we stand for. We want to give these women a second chance, and we all want to call them to arise. TK has begun to show that our ministry can be sustainable, but the bigger picture of TK Coffee is the first of hundreds of businesses that will be a transitional phase for these women to join a care program that doesn't just remove them from their situation, but provides a safe place to learn, relearn, and heal from their trauma that they've already gone through. TK Coffee gets to be a piece of Justice 180 that says, although many don't see you worthy of being hired or having patience to teach you, we will. The hope of TK Coffee is that the heart of many different businesses that we can use as a transition into women into an area of their life that they're passionate about. We started with coffee, but we don't want to be limited. We have dreams of bakeries, flower shops, spas, salons, and many others. Our hope is that some of these businesses will be started by some of the survivors of trafficking. Like I mentioned before, TK Coffee is just the start of Justice 180's future. We're always dreaming. The founders and I are consistently coming up with new ideas of what we can do to make it all happen. Just a few days ago, we sat down discussing a few of our next goals for few years, as the pandemic has immensely impacted our local ministry. It's created space for us to take the leap with Talitha Column to open, but now we're sitting down and looking at the new opportunities. God's continuously been opening doors and opportunities all over the country. In the last 2 months alone, we've had offers, some we've already taken, and others that we're excited to be pursuing for both Justice 180 and TK Coffee. Here are just a few of the bigger ones. Last month, we did an event with Amazon in their new warehouse, and we have a church that does pop-up coffees, so we go to different places in the city and do coffee there. In Northern California, we have the opportunity of taking over a property completely free to use for a home for women. We are getting ready to finalizing the details of sending our coffee over to New York and Colorado to be served in different coffee shops there. TK Vegas is our hope in the next year or two. We've recently been connected with YWAM Vegas, and this also means that our teams are now extending our outreaches to Vegas as well. Speaking engagements, like coming here, there's a podcast in Simi Valley that has offered to interview me, and a couple of other places and opportunities that have just come up at the shop. These are the offers that are just start for us. For TK Coffee, we're aiming to increase our revenue, to have the capability to hire strong believers, not only to know coffee, but also to be able to be mentors to the women that we hire off the street. We're excited to get working with the churches and businesses to either buy our coffee in bulk or also pop-up events. We want to go mobile, both private and public. This is not only to bring coffee all over the city, but we get to share who we are and what we're doing without them having to come to Pacoima. We also want to expand our subscription base. This is important to us as it's a steady income of each month, but we also send information to educate people about how Justice 180 is impacting people's lives, as well as learning the basic knowledge of human trafficking. It's an opportunity for us to bring some awareness in small portions. For Justice 180, we have TK Coffee to begin helping us support financially, but we're aware that Talitha Column alone cannot be providing the full funding of what we're trying to do. Justice 180 is currently trying to gain grants as well as monthly donors to fund the mission. For as long as Justice 180 has existed, we've only had YWAM Los Angeles trained people go to the streets on outreach. We're excited that we're hoping in the next year to extend that to the public. We want to begin training people in our city to make a difference in the city in their own backyard. Our dreams and visions of the future need so much more than we currently have, and what we're focusing in on and where God is leading us to go. I am so honored, honestly, to be a part of this community and the support that reaches out to help those in need. For the last 5 years, I've been in Los Angeles serving at YWAM Los Angeles and Justice 180. Countless times, people in this community have spoken life into me and kept me going when I didn't think I could. So thank you. I cannot thank Pastor Scott, Connie, and Macy for all that you guys do, believing in me and letting me come share. I hope that the stories and dreams that I've shared will help you understand what God is doing for me and is calling me to be a part of. If you guys have further questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my information in the back by the coffee bags. I need to go back to the coffee shop soon to continue working. But I'll also have the business cards that have the email for TK Coffee on them, and I answer all those too, so you can contact me through there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Isn't that just lovely? Her whole story, she's already accomplished. And you're a doer. I love that. So how do we subscribe to your...
There's if you get the business card online, you can subscribe to monthly subscriptions, bi-weekly, weekly, or monthly.
Let's do that. And I told Scott that we are going to, as a church, start, well, I didn't tell him, I sound like I'm being bossy. But he came to me and said, the coffee is so good. And I said, I know, right? So let's start using this for our church. So as a church, we're going to start buying our coffee in bulk from her and supporting her in that way. So please get a card and subscribe. Let's support her in any way we can. You know, it's something we forget about, that prostitutes and women trapped in sex trafficking, they have dreams too. They have dreams, and they need someone to listen to them and to champion their dreams with them. And we as women have to come alongside workers and people that have the dream, the God-given dream. We might not be out on the streets working, but we can support her as she goes out and does that. So I just know that seeds being sown are tremendously important. I would not be here if my little neighbor girl and her mom didn't sow seeds in me. And I continually to thank them decades later, as much as I can, for their loving God and loving me and changing my family. I can't even express that, how important it is that we come alongside someone who is sowing seeds in that whole world. But also, I want to encourage you. Remember, we're Esthers. We are deliverers. We need to make sure that we are sowing seeds in those around us. They need the support, encouragement. They need to have someone champion their dreams as well. So I want to take an offering today for her. And we are going to, in several ways, just continue to support her along the way. So if you could pass the offering bucket around, that would, or bag, whatever you call it, that would be wonderful. Do we have a few more? Oh, okay. Do we just have one? Okay. Just for the sake of time, could we have a couple more? Okay. Whatever you want to put it in, that would be wonderful. But I want to take a moment to talk about a little bit what she said. She said that God directed her by shutting doors. So often we feel like when God shuts a door, that's denial. Actually, it's direction. We need to see that, because if God doesn't open a door for us, or he's saying it's a new season so that door shuts, we think, well, that's the end of it. You know, I'm just going to give up. Don't give up. Look for direction. Is he starting a new season in you? Is he directing you to someone else? Shutting doors isn't just denial. I want you to hear that. It can direct us, and that's happened in my life quite a bit. God will shut a door, and at first I'm like, what the heck? Did I just not hear you? Or, you know what? It took me a while to understand that maybe he's directing me to a new season. The arrow turns, instead of this way going through the door, he shuts the door and he's telling you to go a new direction. And so I look back and I see all the arrows of God, that he has directed me to this very place I am today. All the seasons have built on each other to get me to this place where I am today. So don't be discouraged, ladies. And I want to encourage you, like God gave her a dream. God gives us all dreams. Lori? Okay, I want to come over. Lori is our financial wizard. But also make the checks out. If you are making checks, please make them out to Summit Christian Church, and we will give her one check.
So we have text to give, and so you can give that way. Just make a note of what it's for. You can put Hannah on it, or you can put TKU, or anything, just so that I'll know how to direct it. But you can do that, or we have a button on our website to give as well.
Thank you. Now, see, I would never think about that, all the different ways to give. So see how she is helping me there. Cute hat, too. Thanks. I love hats on early mornings. It actually gets me somewhere on time. It definitely helps. So if you can't give today, that's okay. If you weren't prepared for giving, that's fine. But just keep this on your heart. And if you can't give today, okay, that's great. But pray for her. Pray like crazy for her and her dream, and plead the blood of Jesus over her as she goes into these dark places bringing the light. And so we want to make sure that she is cheered on, and that you know you're cheered on by practical means, and that is by giving her finances to accomplish her dream and what God is doing.